off the other, and that stuff when it blew up, began to break it up and coming ashore.
Mm-hmm.
And one time, I remember holding my son there, Hop and the other guy was fishing on the beach. And I forget the name of this old boy that Hop was fishing with. Anyway, they went on Model T Fords, the little Fords,
Yeah.
and run right square at the top of that bunch of spikes, hung up in one of them. But there was 4, 5, or 6 of those things left.
Yeah.
Here, recent years, I would go down there and I seen a bunch of young people around there digging and everything around one of those things, and they come up and said it was
Treasure ship, huh?
yeah, he said it was a torpedo boats during the old Civil War. That's what they claimed, that they put this thing on the front because they had these spikes and ran the other boats with. And I stopped and asked the people, I said, what are you all doing? They were digging up this old ancient wrecks here. I said, well, what are you going to do with it? They said, we don't know yet. We're going to find out what it's all about. Anyway, coming to the papers, this guy, one of these biologists, telling about what it was and everything. And old Melvin, he got mad. He come up to me and said, you know about that, don't you? I said, yeah. He said, let's go down there and stop that right now, because they were going to put a fence around it.
Oh?
Yeah. Then we went down there and put it in the South Jetty. And Billy Sims, me, and Thomas Teller, and Elda. Well, Billy wasn't here when all that took place, that wreckage all took place off the shore. He was off shipping out.
Oh,
And I was still working for government engineers when we tore that thing, a bus blew it up. And Thomas, he don't remember nothing about it, see. But Melvin knew something wrong there. Went down there and I sent a piece of the paper, and then I read it home, a piece of them out of the South Jetty.
yeah.
And this guy says, they come back and answered that I said, it's an old war relic, all right. I said, it was built during the First World War. When they built it, built these small wooden ships to supply the army and things across those little small wooden ships, little about 300 feet long.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't less than 300 feet long. Those steam ships, and they built them in Orange. They built them two of them. Well, it started 4 in Rockport.
Yeah.
And 2 of them they built, carried on up to Orange. They have them rebuilt to finish them up, and all up and down the East Coast and along Florida, Pensacola, and
Anywhere there was a shipyard.
Anywhere a shipyard is building.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, that's an old war relic, all right. I said, this Second World War, First World War ships was built.
Mm-hmm.
But this guy couldn't figure out all these spikes. He said, I never heard of a ship being built like that. I said, because you wasn't born when those. And he put it in the letter. I mean, put it back in the corpus paper.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I'm not going to argue with that guy. I said, he was here before we were, and he says, he was here when this thing happened. He said, I'm not going to argue about it, but I never seen a ship built out of spikes and things like that.
Well, all they got to do is look at the old construction of the homes back in the 1800s.
Yeah. So we put a squash to that right quick, and that was all gone after that.
So their treasure turned out to be non-treasure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not true. Some of it's true, some are not.
Yeah. Well, that's all interesting stuff from way back. You know, most people don't even know anything about that. Because
yeah. Like another thing too, when they built that Harbor Island over there, the private company built that whole.
What was the first purpose on it?
They were going to make a deep port out of it.
Oh.
And
the old cotton docks there where the
Randy Chandler and Dock Company, they built it.
Yeah.
They were a subsidiary out of some outfit in Baltimore, Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
They come down here. Well, they built that 1,000-foot dock and that shed to start out.
The old cotton shed. Yeah.
They put a compress over there, cotton compress. They put a water tower over there.
Water tower was there for the compress.
And meantime, they were dredging the Randers Pass channel to use to build to fill up to make a railroad track all the way from Randers Pass out there.
Mm-hmm.
And there were 7 bridges in between that. And they got the railroad out there. And then in 1914, the first ship come in here in 1914.
Oh.
First cotton ship. And it's only 18 foot of water over the bar there. 18 to 20 feet of water. And she loaded up, I don't know how many bales of cotton here. And my brother-in-law, John Molina, he was a stevedore.
Uh-huh.
For loading. And the ship was named Brinkburn. She was an English ship, a Leland line ship out of England.
Yeah.
And then while she was there, about a week, 10 days later, another one come in, the other English ship, the Wansley. And that was the first 2 ships to ever come into that harbor. Well, they began to unload, up that time, they began loading cotton. It was strictly cotton. And meantime, they began to add on a little bit. They began putting some oil tanks over there and bringing that Mexican crude out of Mexico.
Did Esso put those in first?
First one put in there was the Magnolia Petroleum Company.
Oh, Magnolia.
Magnolia, and then the Sunset Oil Company.
Oh.
And then later on, the France and Canada built those old concrete.
Yeah.
Well, all those things were pretty well damaged up during the 19 hurricane.
Mm.
But after the 19 hurricane, all that old dock was washed away and all that stuff. And all the railroad track was washed away all the way into Randers Pass. And we had my brother, his boat he owned, and we started running passages, service for the channel for the Canadian, Trans-Canadian, building those old concrete ships.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
The only way you could get by boat, all that stuff washed away. And then when they began pushing that oil back in here again, where we go, that channel dock company renting these old wooden barges. They call them cotton ferry barges out of Galveston. They've used those things to transfer the cotton from across over to Bolivar, from Bolivar to bring the cotton, those little cotton barges.
Wonder why didn't they take them into the Galveston cotton docks?
All that Bolivar Peninsula, there was no way to get the people who were growing cotton through there back in those days, and all that country was all nothing but just farmland.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they used those things to hold it, and also was using that thing because they didn't have enough room for ships to dock in Galveston. They were laying out there in the roads.
Yeah.
Bolivar roads,
Yeah.
and they bring those barges with their
big anchorage out there
and loading it into those ships.
Mm-hmm. Those old concrete ships, they didn't do too well.
No, they didn't do good. Only one of them made one trip to Mexico.
Yeah.
And meantime, they had her out here giving her a test. Out here when they brought her in, back in after giving her a test, she sideswiped the other one, was laying in front of her, and put a big crack in her bow. Well, they never knew anything about it until they went down there and loaded up that Mexican crude, let her down, and then that whole forward section filled up with water.
Yeah.
I made that one trip, and that was the end of it.
Well, there's one still laying up there in Galveston there, just outside Bolivar Road.
Oh, yeah. Now that's another.
City.
Yeah, the concrete ships they built here was round, what they call them wheelbackers.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, wheelbacker with a short point on them.
Mm-hmm.
And that old one up there in Galveston, she was regular built.
She was more or less standard
built more like a ship, yeah, a regular ship, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, she had a focus on her forepeak, the whole works.
Yeah. I remember when they pushed that thing up in Galveston, I was working on towboats up there.
Oh, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Over there.
And they cooked her up there. I don't know where they were going to take it. Anyway, they took her around there and shoved her up in that mud and stuff there, let her set.
Yeah, she's still there.
Yeah, still there.
Yeah. Still sitting there.
Anytime we just go up there and tie up that thing and wait for catching the ship going through the roads, going taking them up to Texas City or Houston.
Yeah, well, I've done the same thing, tied up alongside of her and waiting for ships to come in, going to Texas City. Yeah, I spent about 3 years
done the same thing.
There. Yeah, exactly. Well, we're about to run out of lies. Do you know some lies?
No.
Do you know any lies that need to be told? Because we might run out of them if we try hard. You're not a good liar, are you?
Well, you know, when the stubborn fisherman, I said we didn't have to lie about it. Our fish were always big enough.
Yeah, well, that's a good
We
idea.
never had to tell a lie about our fishing.
Well, you see, that's something I've always claimed, because all the stories that I repeat to the kids and things, they say they're fantastic, it's unbelievable, I don't believe it. But everything I've ever been involved in was so fantastic that there's no way to explain it to them. You can't prove it to them.
No.
So I quit trying. You're not going to quit trying, I don't think, are you?
You what?
You're not going to quit trying, are you?
Quit trying to do what?
To tell bigger lies than somebody else.
No, I don't have to.
It's already bigger. There you go. Oh.
No.
Where was you all living when the 1933 hurricane come through?
Where was I?
Yeah, where was you all living at then?
Over on Roberts Point.
Over at Robert Point.
And we loaded up and moved over, and we came we were blown across the cove and landed over there by the Hamilton's place. And Hop went up, we brought everything we could with us. Hop went up and bought and rented on time. We didn't have cash, but Pop Sims let us have that corner cottage. And we got there and the storm was raging. We saw a good part of Port Aransas on the waterfront blow up, and there would be great big sections of a building come floating by. And at that time there was a waterway, it was like a raging river. Now you remember that, where it went across where they built the store later on. And all the debris floated down past that corner and cut across, well, Charlie's pasture, I guess now. But anyway, it went across to the bay on that side. But that's where we rode out the storm.
Billy Sims, Alan Sims, Pat McBride and myself, we got in a little boat belonged to Billy and Alan Sims. They had a little I think 18 or 20 foot boat, single cylinder, great engine in it. We went around in front of Barney's place and all that where Fisherman's Wharf at.
Yeah.
And W. Lawrence had a place across there and watched those things. We went down to that boat and the sea was 4 or 5 foot higher then, and that little boat hauled over one way or the other. We rode it out. We come on down the line and come through that big slough there where where that Teal Harbor building is now, that old big slough just goes through there. We come on up that slough. We stopped at my brother's house. Teddy had a house there then. And we stopped there and went in. Teddy and them were all gone. Went in there and went inside of his house there and opened up his refrigerator. And Teddy had some home brew in there, so we went in and got a hold of that home brew. And then we took it and followed that slough right on up to the old Woodman Hall, where the old Woodman Hall used to be.
Good night.
And we tied that boat up right there.
Well, there used to be a slough just on this side of the old Woodman Hall. It wasn't a slough, it had been a slough at one time. You remember that big dipped out place there on the east side of Woodman Hall?
Well, Mr. A.D. Nelson,
Yeah.
that same slough, you know, he put a big wire fence around in there, out of small wire, and he began catching shrimp, put in there.
Oh, is that
Made a
right?
big shrimp, yeah, made, so he'd have shrimp.
So he'd have live
Yeah.
shrimp, yeah.
Well, it began to undermine it under the bottom of that, where he put that wire down, and all those things were going out pretty fast, he's putting them in there.
Out there, they did some funny things back in those particular days. Because Edna and June and myself, and I forget who was in the crowd, but anyway, you remember the old slough that used to come up there past where Mom's house was? Edna lived there for a long time. And that slough was, fairly deep. We used to go swimming in the thing.
Yeah.
And we'd having a party or something around home, and all of a sudden somebody said, let's go swimming. Well, Edna weighed about 180 pounds, about 5'4" tall, and she wouldn't go swimming. So all we got, anyway, whatever we were drinking, I guess Coke or coffee, so we went down there, and kids all went in swimming, hooping it up. Pretty soon, Edna, of course, she was fully dressed, pretty soon she couldn't stand it. The heck with this, and she just jumped in there with the rest of them. Look like a big old walrus out there among a bunch of pygmies.
That was
She
it.
couldn't stay out of it, she had to get in there.
Yeah.
And that thing got so deep quite a number of times that you couldn't get across
Well, it used to be, years ago, when we first come here on the Elda, it'd be two sloughs, just west of where the ferry landing is now.
Mm-hmm.
One of them was called Sunflower Slough, and then Moore's Island Slough. Moore's Island, Sunflower Island was the first one right there as you go. And we had a slough there, I guess about 3.5 feet of water in it. Then Moore's Island Slough was the bigger slough. They come on through all those salt flats down through the
further down the channel?
Down towards the Corporate Channel.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people don't know where Moore's Island is, because they've been having a lot of trouble years trying to find out where Moore's Island was.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but Moore's Island was covered up when they dredged that ship channel.
Yeah, well, oil bank, ain't it?
Oil bank, they filled it all up.
Yeah.
But there was 2 homes on that island back in those days, yeah. And we used to go down there and visit one family down there, the Browns, Spec Browns.
Spec Brown's folks?
Folks, they lived down there one time.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Before they moved up this way. And then there was Chain Islands, goes all the way down there. Moore's Island and Pelone Island. They call it Pelone Island. And then the next island was Coyote Island, and then a little another island on the other side of that was called it Dagger Island, and then Shamrock Island.
Yeah.
All the strings run down through there.
Well, Dagger Island, I recall it, and Shamrock, of course, is still there. But the rest of these have all been tied together with fill.
There was one big hole right there as you come in on that, where that little Dagger Island was.
Yeah.
At Shamrock. Called a Pochagahon hole. I don't know where they ever got that name of it. Pochagahon.
Pochagahon.
Some Mexicans, fishermen named it that, but it was a shell reef, and then it dropped off into a
redfish hole.
Yeah, redfish hole, what it was.
You betcha.
Yeah. And right today, it's that channel that goes into this, not Castle, but Plato's property down here.
All right, yeah.
The channel that dug that.
Yeah.
It goes right over that little chain of reef and into that hole that's straight on up in.
Oh, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess that hole's probably still there, or some of it.
Well, it's changed a whole lot. When it did change, it changed after when we had Celia when it come through. Because Celia cut that Shamrock all the right square in 2.
One of the biggest sharks I've ever seen up in the bay was right off the north side of Shamrock Island. I was flying up there one day, and I think he wasn't a hammerhead, but he may have been a shovel nose. But it looked like that rascal must have been at least 10 or 12 foot long, just lollygagging along the north shore of it. And I didn't know that big sharks, would go up in a bay like that. But that's what a big fella.
Well, I've had a story. heard stories about big sharks up in the bay, but I never have. Most of those sharks I was in the bay, maybe 4.5,
4 or 5 foot.
4 foot long. Yeah. We call them sand sharks. They're shovel nose.
Sand or shovel nose, right?
But you know, the one time that George had Dr. Hancock and others up fishing up the bay, and that's when that great big hammerhead shark came, and it was probably 12 feet long or longer. And all that story is in The Stubborn Fisherman, but that was one more big shark that was up in the bay.
Where were they fishing? You remember?
Just off the lighthouse, up that way.
Up the Rockport Channel way.
Well, there was one time too that they got down there in the Civic Center. They got a picture of it.
Yeah.
Of that. We call them blackfish. They call them some kind of worry whale. I don't know what kind of whales. Anyway, sitting on top of a barge, and Billy Sims' daddy tow both the old swallow alongside the barge. Now they picked that thing up inside of the Indiana Channel.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm. But in my days, I've seen quite a few. I say half a dozen on San Joe Beach and on this beach both. Of them 18, 20 feet long.
I've seen big ones out there, yeah. Not quite that big. I've seen
every one
14.
would come ashore dead.
Oh, is that right?
All but one. There was one on the end of the South Jetty one time. And Billy and Alan, Sim, and myself went out there and we tried to see if we, and he's still alive.
We're talking about the blackfish, the
blackfish whale.
Okay.
Whale sometimes, all these newfangled things they give all these fish nowadays, you know.
Yeah, right.
Different. But I always wondered about what Daddy said they call them blackfish, small whale.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the biggest one I was in southeast here one day. I was fishing down in there about, I guess about 12 miles offshore. I seen this thing come up and seen a sail flop like that, and I was pretty good ways off from it. Man, I said, sure was a big old porpoise. I couldn't figure it out. And then I found I seen it come back up again, just come up like that and blow it. And I took on over that.
Tail sometimes.
I took on over that. And I walked running around. I'd say he was about 30, 35 feet long. But you can't scare them. Not with these little motorboats.
Oh, no.
Now you've got through with your big shark. Mine is very small.
I knew she wouldn't give up. She's going out last.
Florida, we go up to Lydia Ann Island. He'd anchor the boat and he would go this way all the way around. I would fish from the boat up to meet him. There's 2 or 3 stories mixed up there. Don't let me detour. Anyway, I was behind it on the beach back of the island, and I had a fish on a stringer. And pretty soon out there, not far away, I saw the fins of a shark. He was headed right straight for those fish.
For the fish on the stringer.
I began to back up to the shore, but he followed. And I kept bringing the fish up, you know, closer. Well, that brought the shark closer. And I made it to the beach, but the shark got grounded. There wasn't water enough to come the rest of the way. But you know that spoiled my fishing for going wade fishing
That's
up
on
there.
the backside of Lydia Ann Island. And I'll tell you what, I was spoiled from going there floundering one night. Went up there and we got out in the skiff, had an old sailboat, old punt. Sailed up there and anchored it down and had a little 8-foot flounder skiff. And I got out and I rode to shore in a little skiff and was out there on the north end of it, wading along water about this deep. Clear as crystal, boy, you could see it, just flat calm. And up ahead of me, here a big old number 3 washtub sized stingray. So I said, well, I'll go around you. And I turned off, went around him, and over to the side here lay another one. And I said, well, this place must be full of them. So I turned around and started back down on the quartering direction, and here was two of them. So I said, well, I'm going to get out of here. And I started back toward the boat, and I had them between me and the boat. And they was all working their way toward the light. And I very gingerly made my way back to the boat and crawled aboard. But there must have been 15 or 20 of those big old fellas this big around, and all of them converging on that light.
Yeah, one night I was floundering over there, we call the old blinds on the north side of Randy Channel.
Yeah,
that light out there.
Yeah.
In those days, we'd be maybe 15 or 20 of us over there waiting to go floundering at nighttime. And nobody got out in that water till it got dark. Everybody stayed right there on the beach.
They were the next guy to go.
And you always had one guy that supervised it. He said, all right, it's time to make a round.
Yeah.
We'd all take off. Anyway, I was way down there, and I had one of these big old sacks, you know, that you hang over with the hook in about the bigger hang up.
Yeah.
I don't know, I had 2 or 3 flounders in there. I go along there, and all of a sudden, I got jerked backward like that, and it nearly jerked me down the water. One of those little sharks, I'd say about that long. He had that. He got one of those flounders in that shack, and he was just shaking it. He got jerking on it. He never jerked me down the water.
Well, he was trying.
You talk about floundering. One time, Hop and Swede Swanson decided they'd go up there floundering. And the old slough, they got there. And they didn't stay long. They said there were more rattlesnakes than there were flounders. That's the last time they went up there. Now you see, we're talking about 50 years ago.
Yeah, but I'll never forget, the last time I floundered was 1936.
Oh, was that right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, last time I floundered was 2 years ago.
Yeah, no, I floundered making a living out of it. And I was floundering over there on the corporate channel side that night when old Scotty Elda.
Yeah.
He come up there and hollered, "Is Johnny Mathews amongst that bunch?" There was 4 or 5 of us over, and I said, "Yeah, I'm here." And I said, "Man, I wonder what happened now." They thought maybe something happened.
Mm-hmm.
So they want you over on the tug Gulfport. That was pretty near midnight. I said, what's the heck you want me over there on that tug for? I went over there. Old Bugs Armstrong was captain. And he says, I've got to go down here south and try to get that little ship on the beach down there off of the beach. A little Texas banker that's down there about 10 miles down the beach. And he says, I've got to have an AB on this boat, and I don't have none of my men are ABs. And I was the only one he knew that I had an AB ticket. I went on there. And we flew down on that ship down there, and finally they sent a tug out of New Orleans down here
to pull him off.
Yeah. And all of my equipment, Carl Brumley was my mate on there.
Yeah.
And old Carl Brumley, I said, he asked me, he says, "Why, you want to sell any of that stuff?" I said, "Yeah, I'll sell it." I said, if I sold it to him, I'm flounder light, my gig, and
the whole works.
And my boots, and the boots fit him too, and an old slicker coat. I get all of that for $20.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said, "Oh," and I never, from that day, I ain't never
go back out.
I've never stuck another flounder.
The elders tell a story about the big slough up there. Well, that was my nemesis, I guess you'd call it, because I was up there. I had that little 8-foot punt skiff with me, and I was floundering the shoreline, a lighthouse shoreline. And I came to the big slough, and I wanted to go beyond it. So I got up on, I had a little old bow up on that front of the thing, you know, and I got up and kneeled down on the bow. I had my lantern in my left hand, and my gig in the right. I was poling my way across it. Well, I saw something out of the corner of my eye, and I looked over there, and here come a gar, about a 5-foot gar, and it just come right across my bow. I said, well, you son of a gun. I reached up there, and I hit him with that gig, and you can't penetrate your hide, but I did. And he jerked me off the bow. My lantern fell on one side, I lost the lantern. I was in the water, my skiff was floating off, and the only thing I had left was trying to hang on to that gig, and he took it out of my hand, and I was left with nothing. And would you believe there was nobody else out that night? I walked and swam from there back down to the towboats. And somebody on the blinds gave me a ride across the tugboats. And then that was a caper that I haven't soon forgotten.
Yeah. I think I'll be going back to the house. Think that. And now these things here, you read through them, and you might get some ideas of something.
I will.
Yeah. And whenever you get through with them,
I'll give them
come by and
back
pick them
to
up.
you.
And one thing I want to know, John.
Huh?
One thing I really want to know. Who fished President Roosevelt?
Who fished Roosevelt?
Yeah.
Brother Ted first.
All right.
No, I'm not taking back, not that, but Don.
Don Farley.
Don Farley. Barney Farley, he got the name of the guide, but Don was the guide.
Yeah.
Barney Farley, he just took.
Well, that's the way I remember it.
Yeah, because Barney Farley got mixed up in that old South Grill over there with Elliot Roosevelt.
Uh-huh.
And the day of the first time Roosevelt went out fishing, he used his Liberty boat, their own, those big old Liberty boats.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we used that. Well, they didn't know what they were doing. They were driving up and down there. So that night, Barney got a hold during that day, Barney got a hold of Elliot Roosevelt and said, talk to the president and see if he will go fishing with some of these guys that knows what they're doing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, Westcott went back and talked to his daddy. He come back and says, everything's pretty well straightened up. He says, only one thing, who's going to be our guide? Well, Barney come up to the old women's hall. We had a dance that night. I'll never forget that. And he said, will you go in President Roosevelt's fishing party tomorrow? I said, I don't know. I said, why? Well, he said, Don, we're always talking to Don. I said, Don, well, said, we need one more boat for you. I said, okay. Go ahead. Meantime, they wireless or something the other to got all of our get us cleared for safety.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Inspection and
So next morning, went down Barney's, and we went to the boat up there. And picked them up. Well,
they was anchored up there.
They was anchored up off the lighthouse off there, the Potomac.
Potomac,
old
right.
steam yacht. Yeah, old gray steam yacht.
Yeah.
And President got John in Don's boat. And Colonel Watson was in that boat with 2 bodyguards, and Barney and Westcott all in that one boat.
Oh boy.
That little boat Don.
Yeah.
Well, they put the commander of the fleet, Captain Bastille, they had the cruiser laying offshore and a destroyer laying offshore.
That's right, they did.
Yeah. They laid offshore. Or they put him in my boat and put Roosevelt's first aid doctor, McIntyre. We went out fishing, and I'll never forget, old Barney was sitting there, old President's shoulder all the time like that, you know. Anyway,
It's like Barney.
yeah, and the President hooked the fish. We watched him, and when brought him up to the gaff, instead of Barney getting hold of the leader and pulling him up there slowly and get the gaff in, he began throwing the gaff at him like that.
Oh, good night.
And he wrapped the gaff around the line and broke the line off. I lost it. Anyway, I caught one fish for Captain Bastille and one for McIntyre. We had six fish on, and we landed 2 of them. And then finally President Roosevelt landed one.
Yeah, now
Yeah,
he
no.
got one.
And then one of the other guys, and they both got one. So we wound up that day with 2 fish apiece, me and Don did. And I think Don had 7 or 8 strikes, and I had 6 strikes. And then President pulled his bill. But I'll never forget that day when McIntyre says, you haven't met, see, doing all day, doing that while we're fishing. The boat come from the
yacht?
From the yacht,
Yeah.
and bringing out the messenger to the president.
Yeah.
Instead of them going to the president's boat, they'd come alongside of my boat, and then we'd have to pick up our line and go alongside of what's called, and McIntyre would deliver
The message
to
yeah.
Roosevelt. Anyway, coming in fishing that day, McIntyre says, you haven't met the president personally yet. I said, no, I sure haven't. He said, you are when we get in.
Oh.
Dallas. I said, okay. Didn't pay attention anyway. We got in there, and Don backed up to the gangway first. And 2 sailors come down there, and they made this arm system, you know, and they put the president in between. He put his arm up, carried him up the gangway, and set him in his wheelchair.
Yeah.
In the meantime, when they told Don to back away, I backed up there and put him off. Said, come on, come on, I want you to meet the president. And I said, who's going to take care of the boat? He said to take care of the boat. So they took me all in the stateroom room there, and the president was still in the wheelchair.
Yeah.
They introduced me to him, and sat there and talked about, I guess, about 15 minutes. And he wanted me and Don to take our 2 boats and put them on the deck of that cruiser and go down and fish them down there.
Down to Port Isabel.
Yeah, but we wouldn't do it. Neither one of us would do it, because we had already had some parties that he had to take care of. And I was a little bit leery of putting my boat, but he said, he said, John, we'll put your boat on top of there, and we'll guarantee you anything damaged that we'll take care of it.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
will.
yeah. I said, well, I know that, Mr. President. I said, I've got too many people that are obligated to right now to fishing. I said, I don't want to mess up. So anyway, he went down there, and Barney rode the boat with him.
Oh, he went down with him?
Yeah, we went down with him.
Yeah.
And they fished out of there, one of those Liberty boats down there. They didn't use any guys down there, because they didn't have no guys back in those days down at Fort Revell.
No, commercial fishermen at all.
And Barney, that's the first time Barney ever fished down there too. He didn't know what he was doing down there, so did we. And then when they come back, then my brother Ted took him. And that Ted had got a picture.
Yeah, I've seen that
in the boat there backing up to Barney's there, Barney's farther dock. And then the next day, Ed Terry took him, on the 3rd time. And then the president, they'll left up much back.
Which one of them was it that the boatman didn't get paid?
That was me and Don.
Well, that was you and Don. Did you ever get paid?
No.
You didn't?
No, the whole thing with that was Barney Farley.
Now make that plain.
Yeah.
Tell it all.
When I asked Don, I said, they ever get money? He said, no. Said, anyway, one guy come down from up there and up in Chicago, Washington, come down fishing. And Don took him fishing. He was a Colonel somebody, I forget who he was, up there, big shot up there in Washington.
Yeah.
And he asked to talk about Don, and when he took him president, Don says, yeah, but and he says, well, the president treats you right. He says, they generally, you get in paying and things like that. Don said, we never got 1 penny out of him. That guy said, what? Never got 1 penny out of him. So he said, well, I'll find out what the score is, and I'll go back to Washington. He come back, he wrote back, and he says, the president, what's called department, finance department,
yeah.
Sent the money to all of the guys that handled it. It was a tip to Barney Farley. Barney kept the goddamn money.
Is that? Well, I remembered when you and I were shooting the breeze here at Elda's house several years ago. You'd mentioned something about that and it stuck in my mind. That,
Yeah. Barney, and when Don got after Barney about it, Barney began crying. He said, well, I was just in a jam and said, and I used the money.
Oh, boy.
So I said, well, I'll get back. I'm going to get mine back. I just run me up about a $40 bill up there. Yeah. Then he asked me about the bill. I said, you can have that bill. I said, I don't want it. I said, me and you are even now. So he knew what I was talking about. He
Yeah.
never did say another word
I
about it.
think you were getting $12 a day for 2 people of fishing tarpon those days, weren't you?
Huh?
You getting $12 a day for 2 people?
$12 a day was getting that.
That's what I'm thinking, yeah.
$12 a day for 2 people.
And I was standing on the dock there when Don and the president backed in, selling hamburgers that Mom made. I had a tray full of them, hot hamburgers, for a nickel a piece. She made her own pickles and stuff to put on them. Made her own buns. They were homemade buns. And that's the job I was doing then, selling buns.
Yeah. Barney Farley and myself, those 2 guys who set foot aboard that yacht.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the only reason I got on there because I wasn't introduced to the president. Don was already introduced to the president, see, so was Teddy.
Yeah.
And they had Terry because they was in their boat. But the president wasn't in my boat. He was in the other boat.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the only reason I got to get in there. And then here, like 2 years ago, I got a letter, a little over 2 years ago, I got a letter from Hall's family up there in Seadrift.
Mm-hmm.
On that Madagascar Island.
Oh, yeah, out there.
Hall's is on Madagascar.
Mm-hmm.
And she wanted to know if President Roosevelt, when he was down here, visited Madagascar Island. And I wrote her, I told her, I said, as far as I'm concerned, no, I said, he never visited. I had no island. I said, as close as he come put his foot on the island as Mustang Island, but I said, he never got out of the boat.
Yeah, well, he stayed on the yacht wherever he went.
I said, he stayed in the boat. And he backed up to the dock where people could see him, but I said, he never got out of the boat. And I said, as far as, I said, the only way where the yacht was at down here, the only way he'd ever get to Madagascar Island was by airplane.
Yeah, because the yacht couldn't go up there.
He couldn't walk. He's in a wheelchair, and they'd have to take him and put him in an airplane. And I said, that didn't happen. I said, he never set his foot on any of these islands so while he was down.
She was looking for a little notoriety, maybe,
Yeah.
for the island.
And anyway, I never did hear from her anymore about it. But somebody told her that the president visited Madagascar Island, but he didn't do it.
No, not that I ever remember hearing anything about either.
Yeah.
He wasn't immune to having some hard words spoken aboard that boat.
Really?
The little tender that they went back and forth with, well, they happened to come in fast when Hop was tying up.
Oh, boy.
And you know what happened in the cold in those days. I thank the Lord they put the jetties up. They can't do it anymore. But anyway, Francis was real angry. And he went on, I don't know what the occasion was. He took somebody over to the yacht, but he saw the man that had come in fast. He climbed right up and nailed him right there and read the riot act.
Is that right?
And the captain of the yacht was standing there. Hop didn't care if the world was sinking. He had to tell him what he thought. And the captain looked at the guy and he says, that goes for me too. But Hop got away with it, and I'm sure
Well, he was in the right because that's
Through Bill Ellis, I had 2 governors out at the same time fishing.
Oh?
Yeah, Governor Coke Stevenson, Texas governor, and the governor of Oklahoma. They called him Alfalfa Bill Murray.
Oh, I remember that name, yeah.
Yeah, I had those 2 out fishing together, and then the other time I had Governor Coke Stevenson and his wife out fishing. That poor lady was sick the whole time she was out there.
Oh, boy.
The old elderly woman. Then I had this other governor that that we had here before Richard's old,
Oh, yeah.
old,
What was his name, June? You should know.
Conley?
The previous governor before Ann Richardson.
Dallas.
White?
Was it White? There wasn't White.
No.
Conley?
Oh, good night. I know that name. You
Yeah.
know, your memory goes first,
Yeah.
John.
Well, he was the governor for,
He'd been a governor before.
this governor we got now, Ann Richardson.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, he was the owner of this Southeastern Drilling Company, that rig that blew out off of Mexico and
Yeah.
all that oil. Well, he
Yeah.
was the owner of that rig.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
That old Sedco, they called it,
Yeah.
Southeastern Drilling
yeah,
Company.
yeah. Yeah, he owned that. Well, I had him fishing. I was working for Turnbull and Dock Drilling Company, taking out the people's friends, and they sent him down there, and I took him out fishing. And
Dolph Briscoe, who was Dolph Briscoe?
He's the governor.
That's what I was thinking, yeah. Isn't that wasn't, that's not who I was thinking of, though. Dolph Briscoe was one name.
yeah,
That wasn't,
Briscoe was one too. Yeah.
that wasn't the one you're thinking of.
Anyway, he owned that outfit. I had him out fishing. But these two governors at the same time, when I had him out fishing,
That was a crowning achievement.
Bill Elda made rain with clothes for all of that.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
sure, yeah. Yeah, Bill Ellis was in the thick of a lot of that stuff, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Him and Ed Tarrant. Take turns being mayor.
I like this guy that created this Astrodome in Houston,
Yeah.
Roy Hawk Hines. He was the youngest district attorney in the state of Texas, and he come down here, and I was district attorney down here at Hatch, and he come down and fish with me. And he was a young district attorney, and then next I knew he was one that started out the Houston Astros and had that dome built. Roy Hawk Hines.
Well, you've had some of the big old boys out there fishing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tell you, if you stay in as long as I have, well, you're bound to find something.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna go
Well, Johnny
Yeah.
Henson.
Thank you, John.
get it.
Thank you for
You're
coming.
quite welcome.
I want you to come again someday.
I will, whenever you find something else you want to
I'll
talk about, well, give me a call. If I'm able, I'll make it.
Johnny, take care. It's been lots of fun.
Yeah,
Enjoy
Jackie.
it. And we'll have to do it
Bye-bye,
again
Johnny.
someday.
Sure good to see you
Oh,
again.
same to you.
Love those stories. Love them.